All right, recording started. Good to go.
Perfect. Just a second. Great. Okay. So, hey everyone. I hope you're ready to discover the glorious features of Power BI. And before that, a quick thank you to the DFW Power BI user group for having me. I am a big fan of this group. I've watched a couple of sessions by John, and then there was a session on UDF. So it's a pleasure for me to come and speak in this group. Before we begin, quick introduction about me. My name is Lakshmi, and as Kevin said, I'm one of the finalists of the Power BI Database 2025 World Championship that took place earlier this year. And I'm a Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst and a recent Microsoft MVP in the data platform. Apart from this, I post a lot about tips and tricks in Power BI, both on LinkedIn as well as I write blogs on Medium. On a professional level, I am a data analyst at data analyst at the Institutional Effectiveness Department in Missouri S&T. Also, personal note, I'm a dog mom, so that's my dog there. Both of us love adventures and both of us are foodies. Apart from this, I'm also a huge advocate of diversity and inclusion. Since I'm a data analyst, I get to play with Power BI and data on a daily basis. And when I play around with data, there are some tips and tricks that I keep finding out. So this session is just going to be some built-in features that Power BI already has, and a lot of us tend to ignore. And yeah, that's it. We can get the session started. Before that, quick introduction about why the session. So basically, like I said, Power BI is hidden with full features that are just in front of you, but you do not realize. It's very similar to that one socks which gets lost in your laundry. It's like you know it's there, but you don't know where. Also, I'm a big believer that sometimes small tweaks can lead to productivity gains. So maybe something that took you 5 clicks could be done in just a click. Also, by end of the session, I want everyone to feel like a Power BI wizard. And my aim is for all of you to take 1 or 2 tips back after the session. And yep, you would see Drake agreeing to me that when you explore these hidden features, these built-in features, sometimes these actually make things faster and better. What you learn in this session is different type of tips and tricks. We'll cover a few formatting secrets, some very visual specific tricks, some slicer and filter hacks, a couple of shortcuts for ease of use. And then if time permits, I would love to share some of my favorite hidden gems. Best part about this session is you don't need any custom visuals or third-party tools. It's just going to be pure Power BI magic. With that said, enough of our slides. We can get started with our demo. And I just hope the demo gods are with me today. Perfect. Okay. So before we start, I want to start at a low note, very basics, some of the basic tricks that I figured throughout my Power BI journey. So the first trick that I want to tell you is about how you can quickly navigate in pages. So you see my Power BI report here has lots and lots of pages. My first page is basic secrets and my last page is page 1. Say I want to navigate from my first page basic secrets to the last page. I have to keep clicking on these buttons to make sure I find which page I want to go. Instead, you can just do a right click on the arrows. You will get a list of all the pages that are in your report. This includes hidden as well as visible pages. So that saves you a lot of time. Next comes to report settings. You know how sometimes we want to try out preview features? The way we go ahead and enable those preview features is you go to File, and then you go to Options and Settings, go to Options, and then wait for a couple of seconds. Hope Power BI doesn't crash. And then perfect. And then you go to preview features, and then you select the preview feature you want. So you see how many times you have to click. Instead, you will find this gear icon on the right bottom. Just by clicking on that gear icon, it will directly take you to your settings and options. And then you can just navigate to preview features. So that's a quick tip right there. Coming to measures. So you know how we write measures in Power BI and then say by default, the measure sizing is really low. For people wearing specs like me, when you want to increase the font or during presentations, when you want to tell your users what is the measure you've written, you can increase a zoom in the formula bar by just clicking control and then the plus icon, or just use the scroll in your mouse and you will be able to zoom in and out your measures. A quick tip right there. Coming to the zoom level. So you know how we have our canvas set, and then sometimes there are people who prefer to work in a format where they can see the edges of the canvas. Some of them want it to fit to the screen, and some of them just zoom in and zoom out according to their preference. The way you do that is you use these plus and minus icons that you see at the bottom. Instead of that, what you could do is, if you know that 110% is my comfortable level, all you have to do is just click on this particular number which says 100%. It will open a dialog box where you can go ahead and choose the zoom percentage. So since I said I know I'm comfortable with 110, I can go ahead and do that. That's a quick tip right there. Next comes the most like frustrating part. When you create visuals in Power BI, say you are layering visuals on visuals, or you're trying to group a couple of visuals. When you try to move them, sometimes it doesn't really listen to you, doesn't really move according to your needs. What you could do instead is use these three dots on the top. So when you see these three dots, just click on the three dots and move your visuals. You will see that the navigation will be much smoother. This really is really good when you have like a group of visuals together. Moving forward, you know how Power BI has a lot of keyboard shortcuts and it's really tough for you to remember. You can just click on Shift and a question mark to open the keyboard shortcut. So Power BI has this inbuilt dialog box. Just by clicking Shift and question mark, it shows you all the shortcuts. And something which I really like is it really categorizes all the shortcuts so that you know what you are trying to find out. That's a quick tip. And the seventh one is probably my favorite. So, like you've seen people jazz up their reports with, say, icons or images. If you decide you're going to use icons, what we tend to do is we go to Google, type out the particular icon we're looking for, find that icon, copy it, come here, and we paste it. Instead, this is for all the Windows users out there. What you could do is say, my aim currently is to add a couple of icons next to my title total profits. What you could do is use the Windows icon on your keyboard, followed by a period or the full stop button. You will get an inbuilt. So this is a Windows inbuilt. I would not say Power BI inbuilt, but anything works. So just use the Windows button and the full stop. It opens an emoji dialog box, and just feel free to use whatever emoji you want. A quick way to jazz up your reports. And I mean, I would not recommend you using these icons next to the title, but it's really helpful when you're trying to create, say, a card visual, or you're trying to just add important like icons to your important KPIs. That's a great way to do. So these were seven very basic secrets. And now let's take the energy up and learn more secrets about Power BI. Next, I am going to talk about field parameters. Everyone knows what field parameters are. Say I have two visuals. One of my visual has total profits by food item. The other visual is total quantity by food item. So when you see profits, you see how I have a dollar sign because obviously it's currency, and quantity just is a random whole number. Say, and if you see both these visuals have food item as common, so basically kind of we can say redundant. In order to reduce the redundancy, what we do is create a field parameter. The way we create a field parameter is go to the modeling tab, hit on new parameter, hit on field parameter. What field parameter does is gives you an option of having one visual, but changing the axis values. So quick example right here. Once you go to the parameters, just give any name. I'm just going to leave it as parameter, and then choose parameters that you want. I am going to choose total profits because I want you to see the dollar sign come in, and then just let's say total quantity, and then hit create. Power BI automatically will create a parameter table for you. So if you see on the right pane, you have a parameter table, and also creates a slicer for you, which has all the measures that you've selected. Now, let's get rid of one of the visual. Now, you have to link the particular visual to my parameter. The way you do is simple. Just go to your visual that you created, remove the measure, and add in your parameter. So now you see these stacked charts because I have not selected any parameter. But once I hit my parameters, you see how when I click total profits, I have my dollar sign with 60, the currency, and then I have total quantity. So basically what I did is instead of having two different visuals, I merged them into one visual. And I'm sure pretty much sure that many of you have used fill parameters, but there are a couple of things that I wanted to tell you. See, once you created this parameter, maybe let's make it a little beautiful. I don't yeah, okay, perfect. So let's do this. So I have a field parameter right here. I'm just going to put it here, switch off my background. Just making it look a little pretty. Great. Now, say you decided that I don't want to have the words total and total in front of profits and total in front of quantity. You do not have to go ahead and create your new parameter, or you do not have to go and change your original measures here. What you could do is click on the parameter table that you created. Let me just zoom in for you. And then edit out this particular part and then just hit enter. So what happens is you see how now I have profits and quantity instead of the word total. So you see, I did not touch anything in my model or did not go ahead and change my measure, just change the way it's displayed. Next, you decide that you want to see quantity first and then the profit. So basically you want to change the order. Best way to do that is the normal way. What we would do is delete this parameter, create another parameter and make sure I choose quantity on the top. Instead of doing that, all you have to do is interchange the positions right here. So I am going to interchange it this way to make sure quantity comes first and then profit comes second. So these are quick tips. So two new things that we learned today is how do you rename my parameters that I created and how I can reorder these. So that's a quick tip from my side. Moving on, any questions, please drop it in the chat. Let me just see if there is anything else there. Perfect. Okay. So coming to the slices. So you know how every report that we make kind of has at least one or two slices in it. Now let's imagine that I have a small report like this, wherein I have three slices along with a visual. And if you see, all my slices says there are multiple selections in it. There's a selection here as well. And according to these selections, my values in my visual or changes. Now, a couple of mistakes what developers do is when they're testing things out, playing around with the slices, we just have it like this. And then without clearing the slices, we go ahead and publish it. So once that happens, the end user is now wondering, like, I have 5 food items, but why do I see just 3? In order to avoid confusions like that, it's always better to clear these slices before we go ahead and publish it, or clear the slices whenever we are showing it to the end user. The best way to do that earlier was to use bookmarks. So have a separate button. Clicking on the button triggers a bookmark. Now, Power BI has an inbuilt button called Clear All Slices. The way you get that is you go to Insert, go to Buttons, and then you find Clear All Buttons. Hit Clear All Buttons. You see how like you have a button and you have text inside it. And what it does is, if you pay attention right here, once I do clear all slices, all my slices get cleared just by a few seconds. Now, quick formatting for people who do not want to have this huge button here, making it very evident that it's a clear all slices. What I tend to do is switch off the text, switch on my icon. So basically, these are the formatting settings you can play around with. I just want to show you how you could improve it. So just reducing my size right here. And then maybe shape, we can make it a pill. And then reduce the size, change my border, and then reduce it further. And probably just add it next to the slices that you have. So just the tip right here is use the clear all slices. And the best part about this is this can also be synced to all the other pages. Moving forward is a search option. So you know how I have, say, I have a slicer with lots of fields in it, like I have month and I have food. Now say I know what I'm looking for and I do not really want to scroll all the way down to find wings. So here, since I have little data, this works. What you could do is enable a search option. The way you do that is click on the slicer, click on the three dots on top and hit search. Once you hit search, you'll see that Power BI brings in an automatic search box there. And then you can go ahead and type your wing. I'm so sorry. Type your wings, and that makes work easier. So this is how you can enable your search option. And that's pretty much about the slicer secrets. Let's move on to something that really frustrates the developers. So say I have three KPI cards. Now I want to get it aligned in a straight horizontal, and then I want it to distribute it horizontally. So basically now I'm going to focus on alignment. How do we normally do is, say you are an experienced Power BI developer. What you do is you drag your visual, squint your eyes, just keep guessing if this looks okay, and then try to uh, adjust the alignment, and then you're good to go. Instead, what you could do saves a lot of time, and I use it regularly, is click on the three KPI cards that are in focus, go to format, and you have this option called align. Once you hit align, since we're talking about alignment, you can choose what type of alignment you're looking for. Now, the three visuals that you have, say, I want to take the total profits, my first KPI card, as a reference. And what you have to do is, so since it's at the top, just hit top, you will see all of the visuals get aligned to the top. And let me show it again. Say, like, I'm just going to randomly place the visuals. Now I want to align all of them according to my first KPI. Select all the cards, go to format, go to align, and hit align top. It automatically gets aligned. The best part about this, it aligns horizontally as well as vertically. So I have a quick example here. Say I have three KPI cards in a vertical manner. I am going to select all the three cards. I'm going to go to format, hit align, and then choose choose your reference. So if you choose align left, it's going to take the leftmost KPI card as your reference. So I am going to do align left because the total profits KPI card is my reference. Once you do that, you see how easy it was for you to align. Saves a lot of time. Now, although I have aligned all of them together, you see how they're unevenly spaced. That really hurts my eyes. There is another secret for that too. Let's move on to this particular. Yeah. So you see now I have three horizontal KPI cards, which are obviously unequally spaced. In order to space them, if all you have to do, you could do it manually. It's going to take a couple of seconds and sometimes might frustrate you. Instead, what you could do is select these visuals together, go to format, go to align, and then you have something called distribute horizontally. Once you hit distribute horizontally, you see how automatically they are evenly spaced. So say I have something like this, and then click everything together, go to format, go to align, and then distribute horizontally, they get equally spaced. This also works with a vertical arrangement. Let me quickly show you an example. So I'm selecting my vertical KPI cards, go to format, go to align, and then hit distribute vertically. Once I do that, you see how these are equally spaced. For fun, let's do one thing. Let's bring visual alignment and visual spacing together. For now, let me just move these KPI cards away, and then let's focus on these cards. What I'm going to do is first make sure they are not aligned, and then I'm going to make sure that they are unevenly spaced. Now what I'm going to do is just by 2 clicks, going to align them and space them equally. So I've selected my KPI cards, going to format, going to align, first going to space them. So I'm going to space them horizontally, and then I'm going to make sure that I align them accordingly. So now you see, like just by using 2 clicks, I was able to align as well as space these KPI cards. That's about alignment and spacing. Next, this is a very funny trick that I just came across. So, you know how we keep struggling with formatting, like uh, increase the size, decrease the size, try to figure out what looks good. That's something I do on a regular basis. quick example. Say I am trying to adjust the title font size of this particular visual. So I click on this particular visual and say like I have 16. Now I'm like, I don't like 16. And then what I do is I use these two arrows, do lots of clickety clicks. And then I'm like, okay, I think 12 looks fine. Or what we do is if you know what exact number you're looking for, like if you've been building reports for a long time and you know that this is the title size you prefer, you go ahead and type in your numbers there. Instead, say you're something who is new to Power BI or who is trying to do something different. What you could do is select this number inside that font size, and then use the scroll button in your mouse. So I mean, my mouse does have it. So you have that scroll. Just keep scrolling up and down. You don't have to hear the clickety clicks, but you will have the freedom to play around and see what size suits you. So that's a quick tip of avoiding the extra noise pollution that you have. Next comes, say I have a visual right here. I do a lot of formatting changes. I'm changing the title and then like just change to a random color. And then I decide that I do not like any of the formatting that I do. I want to start all of this from scratch. What you could do is obviously delete this entire visual and rebuild the visual. Or what you could do is click on the three dots right here in the format pane and then hit reset all settings to default. It will take you to your scratch, I mean, from where you began your entire formatting journey. So that's a quick way of how you could reset all the formattings to the default. Okay, moving on. So now we've just played around with a couple of formatting visuals. Now we are going to talk about very visual specific tips and tricks that I found out throughout my journey. Meanwhile, is there any question for me? Is there a trick to increase all fonts in a visual at once? So that's a good question, but nope, that's not possible. You will have to do clickety clicks. Yeah, that's the answer right there. Okay, I think we do not have any other questions. We could get started with the visual specific tricks. So let's start with the visual that we use the most. And I mean, at least I use tables the most. Oh, let me just delete this. Okay. So what we do to start building a table is click on your table and then choose what you want. And then you have a table like this. This is the default table, which I feel looks really ugly and I do not like the look and feel of this. What we tend to do is now go ahead, open this plethora of settings that you formatting settings you have, play around and make sure you find what looks good. Instead, I mean, obviously, it's going to take a lot of time. Instead, there is something called style presets, inbuilt feature in Power BI. So, what style presets does is has inbuilt formattings in it. So, when you open the dialog box, you'll have a lot of options here. Let me just show you. So, this is minimal. You see how when I selected a style, there's a different look and feel to the entire table. So when I do bold header, like the word says bold header, it made your headers bold. And then you have alternating rows. And then you have flashy rows, which I don't really like. Something which I really like to use is sparse. Again, depends on your space that is available. Once I hit on sparse, I don't even really like this look and feel. I don't like the black. I after clicking the style presets, I then go ahead and then make a couple of changes to make sure I like what I see. And let me just switch it off. So quick tip right here was use style presets instead of using the default table settings. Use style presets, find out which one you like or which one suits your organizational goals, and then go ahead with it. Okay, let me just leave it right here. Next comes a pretty interesting feature that's called clustering. So say I have a table like this and I'm trying to do an analysis or trying to figure out, I'm the CEO of the organization, trying to figure out which food item is doing really well, which food items need to be pushed. For that, something you could do just on a higher level is called clustering. So Power BI has two types of clustering that's possible. One is using just like random logic that Power BI has. And so basically you cannot define the range. Power BI automatically chooses the minimum value, maximum value, and finds clusters for you. And the second thing is you can create your own groups. You can create your own clusters by defining the starting value and the ending value, or you could even define the range of the particular cluster. So what I'm going to show you right now, since it's visual specific, is clustering on a table. Click on the table, hit all the three dots, you will see automatically find clusters. Once you create that, it's going to ask you for names, and then you can even choose the number of clusters. Say I want to divide it into 3 clusters, or say let's just keep it simple, 2 clusters, and then hit OK. Once you do that, there will be, or yeah, so you see that clusters get created. So what happened is you could say cluster 1 and cluster 2. So basically you can say that maybe my cluster 2 is doing really well because the total cost is doing good, and the cluster 1 needs a little more attention. So clustering can be really helpful for doing quick analysis. So one thing you have to remember is you cannot define the range of a cluster right here. So that's about style presets and clustering. And then let's move on to, oh, let me delete it and then we'll start from scratch. Date hierarchies in table. You know how, so I have a very simple data set right here, which is a sales data set of pies. And then I have a date hierarchy right here, which is my order date. Say I'm trying to display it in my table. Once I try to display a hierarchy field right here, you will see that it automatically splits into hierarchies. That's obvious because I have a hierarchy right here. But if you decide you do not want to see different columns, you want to see it as it is, what you have to do is in the field pane where you drag and drop your particular hierarchy, do a right click. You will have two options called order date or date hierarchy. Hit order date. Once you hit order date, you will see that you no longer have separate columns. You have a single column of the exact date that you have put in. So that's a great way of saving space. And then again, it depends on your needs. If you do not really need a lot of columns, this is a great way of showing. I think there is a question there. Man has a question. Can you show if there's a DAX? Oh, yes, I did see that too. It doesn't show up. So if you see there's nothing that comes up right here. Even I'm trying to figure out how this works, but it's really helpful to do like a higher level of analysis. Uh, Perfect. Okay, next moving on to Sparklines. So I'm not sure how many of you use it, but I really like using it just to do high level analysis, like I said. Say I have a table right here, my pie flavor and total quantity. And I mean, this looks okay, gives you insights that Apple is okay. Let me just arrange it. Okay, probably tells me that the pie flavors, I mean, the apple, strawberry, rhubarb, and pumpkin are doing really well, and the others are doing okayish. Now, say if I have to add an extra insight to this particular table, but I don't want to add a lot of extra visuals to my report, what you could do is add inbuilt spark lines in a table. The way you do that is obviously first create a table. Once you create a table, choose on what basis you want to create a spark line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small spark line. I'll show you what a spark line is once it comes up. So spark lines are basically small trend lines for each flavor. Say I'm going to do trend for the total quantity. Do a right click and then you will have an option called add a spark line on the total quantity. So once I hit add a spark line, you get a dialog box. And here it says, so spark lines are simple charts that you can add to columns in a table. So basically they are inbuilt in a table or matrix. You do not have to create any other chart. You don't have to group visuals together. So what you have to do is select the y-axis, select your summarization, and then you have to choose an x-axis. Now, obviously, x-axis should be something date related because I am going to see a date trend. So say I do like a month. Once I hit month and then just hit create, you will see that I have a couple of tiny charts that have come up, but I am not sure, or I mean, these just look like simple charts and not providing too much, say too much insights. Now, using the power of formatting, I will show you how you can make it more insightful and probably can draw one or two insights out of it. So what I'm going to do is open up my formatting, and then, okay, I hope this, let me just increase the size of the formatting thing. Perfect. So I have my table. Now, once you enable the sparklines right here, you will see this option called sparklines. Hit on sparklines. Before we begin digging out more information, I'll show you that there are two types of mini charts that you could create. One is a line chart that you already see, and you could also create a column chart. The simple way is just go to chart type and hit column. It gives you bars like this. I prefer using line charts. I'll tell you why. The moment you click on line chart, you have something called marker that gets enabled. So you can highlight using markers which point you want to enhance. And like you see, Power BI by default gives you options like, do you want to highlight every point? Do you want to highlight the highest? Do you want to highlight the lowest, first, last, so and so? So basically, again, inbuilt, you don't have to write a single code of DAX. You don't have to do any conditional formatting either. So say I am going to hit on highest. So I've hit my marker as highest, play around with the formatting. So since everything is purple theme, because purple is my favorite color, let me just do something like this, increase the width here. Yeah, perfect. Oh, also for people who are feeling fancy, you can even change the dots to something else, say a square or a triangle, or you want to do like a cross, you can do that too. Perfect. Now, when I add these spark lines, like I said, I sometimes use it for getting or digging deeper. Now, when you see here, you see how apple and pumpkin did really well in the second half of the year. Now, in the US, you know how Thanksgiving, fall, these are the time when we prefer the pumpkin flavors, the apple flavors. So, I mean, just quick example of how you could dig more into the data to analyze the trends. That's how you could add table sparklings. And then let's proceed to the next visual. Very simple bar chart right here. So you see how I have total cost by month. So I have my total cost and then I have my month. And you see how there are a couple of months that are missing. So sometimes as developers, we tend to miss those areas. What we do is just like people say, Power BI is drag and drop, just drag and drop, play around with a couple of formattings, and then we are good to go. But say you did figure out that yes, there are a couple of months missing, and you want to dig deeper and find out what happened. Obviously, you're going to go back to your data source and figure out what happened. Instead, what you could do is do a quick check right here. Go to your build menu. Let's see if I can increase the size. Yeah. Now say I have a couple of months missing. Right click on month and you have something called show items with no data. Once you click on that, you will see that I did have a couple of months which had no data. Now, two things. I can go back and check what happened. Is my data missing? Or maybe was the store closed? So basically these are the things that you could find out using this show items with no data. This is how I quickly check if everything is in there. Is data missing, or is there something I have to go back and look into? So that's a quick tip on how you could display the empty values just by a single click. Next comes export data and copy data. I think this is pretty common. Like there's this ongoing joke where people keep asking if you can export the report in an Excel. That's not possible. But what you could do is export a particular visual. Say I have this particular visual, click on the three dots on top, hit export data. It's going to export data as a table. So you will get a table like this in an Excel format. So that's a quick way. Also, you could copy data. So let me go back to my table. This is my model table view. Say I have this particular table. Now I decide that I want to copy a particular date because I want to filter something. What you could do is do a right click and then you have copy. Something which Power BI came up with recently is you can copy either the value, I mean the particular selected value, or the entire column or the entire table. Isn't this great? I mean, just copy the entire table. Maybe you're trying out something else, paste it, put it in Excel, come back here and play around with data. So you don't have to like select entire row. You don't have to select the entire table. You can just do copy, select what are the value, column or table you want to create. Moving on. Perfect. Next comes the reference line. So this is something which I use on a regular basis, and I will show you the power of it. I have a very simple line chart right here. Now, my aim is to make it a little more insightful or try to dig in more data. What I like to do is add a reference line or add a reference to which I can compare it to. Generally, how we would do it is create a DAX and then put in the DAX as another line chart right here to make sure that I have another reference line running through it. You don't really have to do it. Power BI has an inbuilt feature called reference line. Once you hit reference line, just click add line. You have options given by Power BI what type of line you want to add. Do you want to add just a random y-axis constant line? You can do that. Say I want to set my level as 100 or say let's set my level as 250. You can add a line that way. Or say since this is like total cost by year, I'm going to add an average line. So in order to add an average line, I do not have to write a single line of DAX. All I have to do is change the type to average line. Once I hit average line, you see how I have my average line right here. Now, you know it is an average line. I know it's an average line, but my end users do not. Let's jazz it up a little bit. Add data labels. Now, this data label is not looking really good. The best part about this is you could even format this particular data label. Say, I don't want these many decimal points. I just want decimal points after it. So now I have my data value. Now my end users are not going to know what is this particular $487.78 right here. What I can do is add both the name as well as the number. Now average line 1 sounds a little defaulty. So I'm going to go ahead and rename it. You could just do a double click right here, add AVG and enter. It's going to give you average line and say, I don't want to have it on the left side. A lot of formatting options available. Go around and play with it. Make it a little more subtle. I don't want that blue because I want my purple power. Thanks to Chewy for that GIF right there. And then make it a little grayish. Yep, that's pretty much it. So what you did was just by a few clicks, you could add reference line. Here, the reference line was a simple here the reference line was just a simple average line, just runs through my visual. Easy for me to understand that after 2019 things went really well, but something happened between 2016 to 2018. So that's the power of reference lines. Also, yeah, that's about the reference lines. You could add medians, max, min. I mean, according to your use case, that works. Perfect. Let's move on. Next comes analyze and summarize. Say you've created this particular report, particular visual. Now you want to add in a text box which explains what's happening in this particular visual because you have someone in your team who doesn't want to see visual things. They want at least one or two lines in there explaining what this graph is trying to convey. You don't have to type it from scratch. What you have to do is do a right click. You have, let's do summarize first. So do a right click and hit summarize. And you can just click anywhere in the visual. Once you hit summarize, it'll ask you for two options. Copilot, go for it if you have an option. If not, just hit custom. What it does is it creates a narrative for you based on the visual that is just above it. So if you see right now, it tells me that at $890, 2020 had the highest total. And that's true. 890 is at the top and is the highest. And then it tells me that comparing from 2012 to 2020, this much percentage was the increase across all the 9 years. This was the range. So this is a quick way of how you could summarize your entire visual. Very, very good when you're documenting something. You don't have to type everything and anything. Just use the summarize feature. That's about the summarize. There's something else called analyze as well. So say I have a visual right here and I see from 2013 to 2015, there was a steep incline. I want Power BI to analyze what's going on between this particular, what might be the possibilities. Obviously, it's not going to be correct all the time. But what you could do is do a right click, click analyze and choose explain the increase. I see a question by Chui. Will summarize text change if the value is updated by slicer selections? Yes, it does. Let's see a quick demo of that as well. So I did custom and then we are right here. Let me go ahead and add a simple slicer from a food table, right? Okay. I have a slicer. I'm going to choose food item, get rid of these pins. So say I've selected fries. So okay. So I've selected onion rings right here. I have years from 2015 to 2021 and you see all my text gets changed. So let me just keep changing. Yeah. So basically whatever you have in your visual, it just changes according to the slicer selections. Perfect. That was a great question. Yeah. Next, let's move on to gradients. So I know I'm not a fan of gradient, but just wanted to let you know. Say I have a simple bar chart, and then I want to make it look fancy. I want to add in a couple of question by Aman. Did you finish analyze? Yes, that was pretty much about. Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. Yes, going back to analyze. So, like I said, I want to analyze why is there an increase or what might be the reasons. Just click on that particular marker, hit analyze and explain the increase. What Power BI does a quick analysis based on the fields in your model. So you remember how I created a cluster field so that it picked that up too. And it tells me that during this particular range of years, 2013 to 2015, cluster 2 accounted for the majority of the increase. That offsetted the decrease of cluster 1. That might be a possibility. Now, there is a waterfall chart here. Maybe if you're not able to understand, you can even switch between graphs right here. The first waterfall, and if you want to know what each of these graphs trying to tell you, you have a help icon right here which tells you if you want to see which changes had the greatest impact, you will see it in the form of a waterfall chart. If you want to see which are the values that increased, so everything in the green area are the values that increased, and everything on the red was decreased. That's when it shows you a scatter visual. Say you want to check out what is the share of total, like which areas contributed in what period, that can be seen in a stacked column chart. And then we have a simple ribbon chart that tells you the value change. Like if you see tablets has decreased, keyboards has increased. So this is a help guide that Power BI has given you. Now here, let's go to this particular chart. Here it tells me that the cluster 1 that I created, remember, decreased from 2013 to 2015. But you see how cluster 2 rapidly increased. So basically, I can maybe tell that the rapid increase between 2013 and 2015 was because of cluster 2. That's a quick analysis. Now, for people like, I do not want any analysis based on cluster. I want some other areas to be picked up and analyzed. You have food. So what it has done next is picked up food and then shows you the same 4 analysis. Now let's do a quick analysis right here. This particular chart tells me that onion rings and pizza, which is on the green side, you see how it's on the top. So these two accounted for the majority of the increase between 2013 and 2015. That includes fries as well. There's just one item, which is the burger, which reduced. So didn't really make that much change. Go to the ribbon chart. You see how in 2013, like the fries and the onion rings contributed more while the others did not. So that's a quick ideas that Power BI analyzes your model and tells you that this is what has happened. This might be the reason. Now, best part about this is, say you really like this particular analysis. Let's say this one. You can just use this plus icon right here to get it added to your report directly. So basically, you do not have to do any dragging and dropping of any fields. Just let me show you again. Just hit that particular plus icon right there. Choose what tells you or conveys conveys the information. Hit on the plus button, and then tada, you have an analysis right in front of you. So that was the analyze, and yeah, now I'm done. We can probably skip the gradient coloring because I think we might be out of time. But this is a very good one. Let's go to the
We have
do.
as much time as you want, so it's
Okay.
all virtual.
Perfect, perfect. Then we can talk about gradient coloring. So say I have a visual like this and I'm feeling a little fancy. Now on the top, you see I have gradients. I want gradients in here too. Not recommended for accessibility purposes, but just want to let you know how it works. So say what you could do is use conditional formatting right here. I'm going to go to my columns since I'm recoloring my columns. Hit on FX. FX in Power BI just means conditional formatting. Creating a couple of conditions. So let's just stick to a theme as purple and pink, and then choosing some and then let's add another color in between. Sometimes takes a lot of time. Yeah, this looks okay. And then hit okay. You see how I have gradient coloring right here. Let's get rid of the legend. Yeah. Now here it was pretty easy for me to find the gradient coloring because I just had FX, go ahead and click it. Now say I have the same visual. I am, let's go back to the initial one. I should have copy pasted it, but I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, okay. So now say, let me do that again quickly for you. Just trying to show you the difference of how it works. Okay, and then get rid of the legend. Now say I have a pie chart. No one likes pie charts. Okay. Now I want, instead of having these default colors that are really flashy, don't really look good, you want to have like sort of a gradient coloring which matches to this particular visual. What you do is you go to slices and then you see that there is no FX right here. But if you want to do that in Power BI, you will probably have to click on each slice, each of my slice of my pie chart, and then you will have to go ahead and manually choose this particular color. This also happens with markers. So let me show you. Say I have, I am going to convert this into a line chart. So let me show you markers. When you go to markers, your color will not have the FX right here. You will have to go to each and every category to hit on FX. Instead, what you could do is say, I have a particular visual created as a column or a bar chart first, because that's the only visual where you can define rules. Once you do that, copy this, paste it, and now go ahead and change your visual. You see now how just by changing the already set rules, my pie chart was able to pick up all the colors from here. This also works with a line chart. Now, if you see the line chart, let me get rid of the line so that it's visible. You see how now each of my marker has the same gradient colors as my bar chart. So that's a quick way of achieving gradient coloring. Or if you're trying to match visuals, you're trying to show, you have four visuals with the same food items. You want to show pizza always in a particular shade of purple. This is how you could do it. So that's a quick tip right there. Moving on, uh, let's talk about some enough of the visual, too much visual specific rules. Let's talk about a couple, just two model level gems. Uh, the first thing is quick measures. Say sometimes what happens is, this is specifically useful for all the newbies out there, for new people who are exploring Power BI, is say you have a simple requirement of creating a year over year measure. Now, if you're a newbie, a fresher, you are like, what is year over year? You go to ChatGPT. Now that you have ChatGPT, you go there, type on, give me a DAX code for YOY. So earlier, before before the ChatGPT era, we used to write DAX codes like do trial and error, go to the documentation, look at the syntax. Instead, what you could do is Power BI automatically has a couple of measures that are inbuilt. The way you access is let's just click on a particular table, and then on the top you will have quick measures. Hit on quick measures, and then in the calculation you will see a couple of calculations. Like, let me just show you, like maximum, you want to find the maximum, you could do that. I mean, it's pretty easy using DAX too. Let's talk about time intelligence. So I use these quick measures just for the time intelligence part. Like, you have year to dates, quarter to date, MTD, I mean, all the TDs, all the OIs, all the OQs and OMs. So since I was talking about year over year change, you can just hit on year over year change. Now it'll ask you a base value. So basically, what are you trying to find out? You can have this beautiful eye icon there, which I really like here. It tells you what are the value you want to calculate the change for. And then you need to obviously give a date because you're trying to find a year over year. So what I'm going to do is, since I don't have a year date field here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the base value as cost, and then choose whatever aggregate you want. You can do sum, you can do average, and then choose a date. So since I'm talking about year, talking about date, just going to drag and drop my date. And then number of periods is not required, but you can calculate the number of past periods that you want to calculate the change for. Generally, it's just one, and then hit add. Now you will see that Power BI automatically gave me a YOY percentage. Oh my God, too zoomed in. Yeah, automatically gave you a YOY percentage along with an error. Like, if you're going to write down a YOY, at least me, I would ignore this. I would directly start with all of this. But here, if you see, Power BI automatically gives you an error message as well, gives you a perfect DAX code. So since I'm calculating a previous year, it tells me -1. Trying to find a YOY gives me a division of the cost. I mean, it just gives me the perfect DAX that is required. So just a quick tip there is you can just use quick measures for time intelligence and a lot of other features that take a lot of time. Next comes the data format. So this is pretty interesting. So say I have a table like this, and then you see my total cost is huge numbers right there. Now, you know the total cost is a currency. Say, let's talk about dollars. And then you want to add in a dollar sign right here. It's easy. You can just go to your data model. If you have access, go ahead and update your column, add in your current, change it from a whole number to currency. You can choose dollars, euros you want. But say you do not have access to the semantic model, you are just a developer right here, or you use direct query or live connections, you do not have permissions to go ahead and change anything. What you can do is use the data format, which helps you change the formats on a visual level, on a specific visual. What you have to do is click on that particular visual. Under properties, you will find something called data format. So two things to note is happens on a visual level, happens on only that particular visual. So here, let me just copy paste it so that you can see the difference. So what I'm going to do right here is, like I said, it's total cost. I want to make it a currency. So you see how in this particular visual, my currency has the dollar signs, but in this particular visual, it does not. So basically, I changed just, we can say, like a very visual specific data format. I did not touch anything in my semantic model. So that's a very good way of changing the format. Another quick example, what I could give is, say, your developers prefer, I mean, your end users, instead of one decimal point, they prefer two decimal points. I mean, I myself personally prefer two decimal points. You can just add in your decimal points right here. Another quick example, you have total quantity and you want to have the thousand separators. So basically the small commas that you see differentiating the thousands, you could get that added too. You see how everything happened in this particular visual, nothing in my other visual is affected, nothing in my data model is affected. So quick tip of how you could improve the formatting, even if you don't have permissions to do so on a semantic model level. And okay. And then we're moving on to this. We're not going to talk about custom themes. Like four of my favorite secrets or say tips that I like to use. Remember when we were talking about clustering, I told you we cannot define the range or we cannot set rules on the clusters. That's being compensated by a feature called groups. What you have to do is say, my use case right here is I have a table visual. I have my days of the week listed. Now I want a new column wherein it just divides this entire table into weekdays and weekends. I know it's a very silly use case, but I thought it'll be easy for all of us to understand. What you have to do is click on day of the week, so basically the particular field that we want to group. Do a right click and then you have something called new groups, or you could go to column tools and click on data groups as well. New group. Now there are two types of group. One is a list and one is a bin. Let's first talk about list. Quick thing to remember, list is, if it's a text related field, it's always going to be under list. Now I'm going to group my values. So let's group Saturday and Sunday together. So clicking Saturday and Sunday, hitting group, and then you have a group. Double click on it and let's just rename it that it's a weekend. So I'm trying to mark my weekends. Now I don't have to select all the groups and then group it again. Just hit include other group. It'll automatically select all the ungrouped values. And then just rename this as weekdays. And then once I'm good with everything, hit OK. Power BI automatically gives you a group field right here. I'm going to get it. Oh, this is a matrix. I'm so sorry. Let me convert it into a table. Okay. And then I'm going to add in my groups right here. Let's sort it out. So you see how all of this, I mean, all the other days are weekdays and Saturdays and Sundays are weekends. So you see how you did not have to I mean, you did not have to write any DAX. You just had to do a couple of drags and drops. So this is how you can define rules to get clusters right here. Okay. And then let's talk about optimization presets. So, every Power BI user knows the reason we use Power BI is interactivity. Say I have three visuals right here, trying to find out my trends or trying to figure out, uh, filter out just by particular fields. You can easily do it like either choose a value in the table or choose a particular bar in the visual, and you see how everything changes. But say you're trying to do a sort of, instead of dashboarding, you're trying to do some sort of reporting where you do not want the users to go and mess around with slicers, do not want the users to go ahead and select anything. You can uh, edit the interactions in two ways. One is a very basic method of editing interaction is select this particular visual, go to format, and then you have edit interactions. Once you enable edit interactions, all the other visuals or all the other elements apart from the selected element will have these buttons on the top. You can go ahead and select the none option to make sure that these two visuals do not interact. Now, let me show you. You will see that since I locked this particular visual, this visual doesn't get affected, but this card visual is changing every time I select. So basically what I did right now is just blocked out one of my visual interaction. Now, say, okay, let me go back. Now say you know the use case that you want the entire report to get blocked out. Nothing should be interactable. You can go to optimize, and in the optimization presets, instead of interactivity, you can go to query reduction, hit go to, and then you'll see that, okay, one second. I think, will I have to switch? Yeah. So I will have to restart my Power BI, but I'm just letting you know, once you restart your Power BI, you click on Saturday, it's not going to move. You hit on fudge, like nothing is going to change. Oh, did it take place? No. Yeah. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is when you use query reduction, it'll make sure that none of your visuals interact with each other. The reason it's not working right now is when I change that, I have to switch, completely shut down my Power BI and switch it on. You can try it out on your own. Next comes Format Painter. So all of us, like Chui said, vintage developers, we use Format Painter in most of our other Microsoft suites like Microsoft Excel, Word, and so Power BI also has Format Painter. Very few people use it, but saves a lot of time. Quick demo of how it works is, say I created a visual. Let me just get rid of the edit interactions. Yeah. I created a visual, did a lot of formattings, and I'm like, perfect, this is good to go. This is the standard that I set. All my other visuals should be according to this color, this size. What you do is just have one visual with your proper borders, proper colors, and then create all your other visuals randomly that you want. Hit on the first visual. On the top in the clipboard section, you will see Format Painter. Hit on Format Painter and then paste it on the other visuals that you created. Automatically, you will see how my visuals take up the same color and even the borders. Quick thing to note here is, if the visual is of the same data type, everything gets copied. So you see right now, like the data label size, the axis label, the title, everything gets copied. But if you're trying to copy from a bar chart to a pie chart, there are some formatting that you would have to do. Let's see if it works. Let's use the reset default option. And then let me just change it to a pie chart. If I'm going to do this, you see how everything changed. I mean, my data labels changed, my border came up, my title changed, but the colors inside did not change. That's because both of them are very different visual types. Now, say I convert it back. So this is a pie chart, right? Let me reset these settings. Now I'm going to convert this back to my column chart. You see there are no borders. Now when I do a Format Painter, it's going to pick up all my properties because both of them are of the same visual type. So that's a quick thing that you would have to remember right there. Make sure once you do a Format Painter, go ahead and check if this is what is required. Next comes custom tooltips. So I have a visual right here, looks good. By default, when I hover on it, I get a default tooltip tells me what's going on, what's the pie flavor, what's the sum of the quantity. You can edit, say, instead of sum of quantity, you want just quantity. Go ahead and edit your x-axis value right here. When you hover on it, you will get quantity. Now, say you've built this visual, you've just sent it to someone, and that person is wondering what is this visual, or you want to add more descriptive fields in this particular visual, but don't want it to show it in the first go. What you could do is use custom tooltips, or probably you can say an icon. On hovering the icon or clicking the icon opens up a custom tooltip page for you. What I'm going to do right now is say, I create a tooltip page. The way you create a tooltip page is just click on any normal page that you would do. Uh, Go to settings. In Canvas settings, under the type, go and click on tooltip. So this is the default tooltip page. You can have a complete page as a tooltip as well. I will show you a quick demo of that too. Now, once you hit on the tooltip, let me see what do I have here. So I have quantity, right? So let me just pull in a card visual, and then I am going to drag in my quantity. Okay. Just, I'm not going to format it right now. So what I did is go ahead and create my tooltip page. Now I'm going to go back to my visual right here. Now, instead of this particular default tooltip, I want to enhance it with a custom tooltip. What I do is go to the formatting settings, go to properties, find tooltips. Another quick tip right here is, if you do not remember what you're looking for, you do not know where to look for, use this search option on the top. I do it all the time. Since I am looking for tooltips, just type in tooltips. It's going to show you all the formatting settings which has the word tooltip. So it automatically opened tooltip. In the type, it says default, but I'm going to set it to a report page, and the tooltip page is where I created my tooltip. Once you do that, when you hover over this particular tooltip, you will see that this particular, oh, sorry, what was the page that I created? Page 2. I just reference the long page, page 2. Now, when I hover over this particular bar, you will see how I have the tooltip page that I created with a small card in between. You can beautify this. Say you decide you're going to add in some icon. So now I'm going to use the tip that I used. I am going to add in a random emoji right here. So say I have a text box using my Windows icon and full stop. And then let's see if I have a pie. Yeah, somewhat close to a pie, just adding a pie icon right here, just to show you how this works. And then see if I can increase the size of this. Yeah, I can. So let's do 32 for now. Now going back to my bar chart. And when I hover over it, you see how the icon remains static, but my card visual keeps changing. So this is a great way of using tooltips, adding more information to your particular visual. So these four were my favorites and something which I use on a regular basis. And yeah, that's pretty much from my side. Any questions that I missed, I am ready to take. Yeah, I do see a question. Do these features turn a thin report into a composite model? I mean, like field parameters, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, it does. You're right. And any other question? Thank you, Chui, for your comments.
Yeah, good job. We'll give it
Perfect.
just a couple more seconds here, see if anybody wants to either type in a question, come off mute, but
Well, it's
definitely.
a lot of stuff. So you have this big deck that you didn't hit every page, but at the URL you have up there, you have this
Yes.
posted.
Yes, I do. I have this particular PBIX posted right there.
Excellent, terrific. Oh, you see, Chewy had what is the preview up? You see his question?
Where is the preview option to enable this? Okay, I think that's called on object interaction. Let me just quickly check it out. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a crowd favorite.
Yeah.
I don't.
So
By the way, I like it. I mean, I like it. I'm like the only person I ever says they like it, just because I'm not ashamed.
and this is the feature like on object interaction. Something which I really like is, say I want to change the title, I can just do a double click here and I mean just change stuff here. I don't have to go to my formatting page. And yeah. Any other questions? Thank you for your comments, guys. Thanks for the great tips.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I'm on time.
I was hoping there'd be a quick way to like, let's say I wanted to take a report and turn off all the interactions on a page, all of them, you know? And I think that's not through the UI, but maybe outside the UI, there's a way to do that quickly. That's my guess.
What do you mean by all the interactions? The icons or like they can't click on anything?
Yeah, the edit interactions under modeling, under format, or you know, where you have to go, you know, n times n minus one, like you have to go over each visual with every other visual on the page. And I know you're thinking, well, why are you using Power BI if you're disabling all of those things? But you know, there's always a use case. There's always a use case where you need to do it. Yeah, but there's no quick way in the UI to do. There is.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. That's the optimization presets. So when you have it at interactivity, yeah. So let me just show it to you. Sometimes, okay. So this is the default. So when I click on Apple, you see Apple gets highlighted, pumpkin gets highlighted.
Yeah.
Say you want to make sure that it doesn't happen. Go to optimization presets and do query reduction. It's going to stop the interaction everywhere. So no matter what you click, nothing happens.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
I can also show it in a, say I have a tree map visual. So no matter what I click, where I click, nothing will interact with each other.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Boy, just asking you shall receive.
And did you see Vicky's response is just throw a clear text box over everything? I've known people to do that. So The other thing that I would say is watch for now that the PBIR format
Mm.
within a project file,
Mhm.
you'll be seeing people come out with ways to script to do
Yeah.
something like that very
That's what
quickly.
that's what I was guessing, is that there would be just a way, like even if you, but to the visual, wait, so Tyndall is only for the model. Tyndall doesn't give
Tyndall's
you
for the
Yes.
model.
Okay.
Now the PBIR is for the
Yes.
report side. And in the latest release, what I noticed just the other day, if
Mhm.
you have PBIP turned on, it turns it on by default.
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, interesting.
Because I had somebody do a pull request, and I was like, why do I have all these files? Did he turn that on? And I
Mm.
went and looked at mine, and sure enough, it turned it on by default in one of the latest updates.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Uh, so Chewy said he's asking, how do you see its functionality? Did you use, I mean, you showed us how you edited the title, right?
Yes. Anything like the legend. I mean, it doesn't work everywhere and anywhere. I mean, you can edit the legend titles, but I don't use it much. I just use it for the title. The rest, like since I'm used to playing around with the formatting settings, that I feel that's faster for me.
So you don't use the little buttons there on the upper left?
These,
Yeah.
yes, I do sometimes. Very, very
Okay.
rarely though, because I am used to using the formatting pane. But I think I
Yeah.
should upgrade now.
I wouldn't call it an upgrade. It's
No,
it's a
I actually
regrade.
like. Oh, yeah, you can call that. But I actually like one thing about this is it gives you suggestions. Like, say I
Yeah.
have this particular, like when I hit on this, it gives me like what are the possible visuals you could use to represent that. That's something I like.
But yeah, I like that too. I like that, the little pop out, because a lot of times it has what you need.
Yeah,
And
there's
then,
a lot of back and forth about the on object editing. A lot of people with the muscle memory just tend not to use it, but I find that
yes,
people that are new to it tend to love it because it works closer to other tools that they come from. So,
right.
all right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Mhm.